I definitely agree that there probably somewhere in here there needed to be 20 minutes cut.
It does not look good.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking the Daniels' new feature film, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Every rejection, every disappointment has led you here. To this moment. Don't let anything distract you from it.
Everything Everywhere All at Once follows a Chinese immigrant who is swept up in an insane adventure where she alone can save the world by exploring our other universes, connecting with the lives she could have led. So this is a great prequel to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and this movie would not have made sense unless you saw Spider-Man No Way Home with that established multiverses. You know, with the Rick and Morty has really been doing a great job at getting us prepared for all this stuff, but Marvel has just really done a great job. And I was a little confused because Michelle Yeoh's character didn't really understand some of the stuff that she did in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, but I'll let it slide. The action's still pretty cool in this movie. What are your thoughts on it, Blaze?
Wait, is it really 10 rings? I thought it was 5 per se. That's a lot of rings. 10 rings.
I could be wrong. I think it was a ring per finger.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's 10 rings. And
hopefully everyone understands my sarcasm with that. If you're new to the channel, then yes, that was this has nothing to do with the Marvel movie.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I guess you could. I think that's one of the first things that popped up in my head was just the idea that Daniels are directing a Marvel movie next. There's no way around it. I think we joked about it in our Cha Cha Real Smooth episode about Cooper Raiff directing a next Marvel movie or Spider-Man movie. He strikes me now that I've seen this film, it strikes me more that Cooper Raiff's going to be directing the next, Sony will pick him up, standalone from Marvel, but for specifically Spider-Man. John Watts, you better hang up that your coat this time. I feel like Cooper Raiff's gonna steal your job. But anyways, yeah, Daniels, I feel like they're gonna be directing the next Doctor Strange movie. It's just easy enough as it is. Sam Raimi ain't coming back. They're gonna be directing the next Doctor Strange Marvel movie. Anyways, all the jokes aside, I thought this movie is really enjoyable. It definitely feels like almost this independent movie that's on it seems like it's on a massive budget because it's playing in so many theaters and everything, but it still feels very homemade. Even a lot of the effects, some of them don't all hit at times, but this effects team was only, I guess, comprised of 9 people that created all the effects for this film, which it sounds way more incredible than maybe it is, because I felt like there's a lot of effects in the movie. I think there's just a ton of effects, but I feel like the editing is so fastly paced that sometimes you can't see all the cracks in the pavement.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely one of its works in its favor with the editing techniques. Because a lot of the moments that you're describing where you would think special effects are, you could think a lot of the fight scenes with confetti involved or something like that. But really, it's just fun trickery for the most part. Off the top of my head, the only thing that actually looks CGI based is the Everything Bagel segment within the movie, but for the most part it's just good old-fashioned stunt work with only a few locations, but just a lot of shots done to make it look very grand and big budget-esque. But you can tell this is still a very low budget movie, but just worked around the corners to make it look as very ambitious as possible. And Daniels are directors that made a huge hit with Swiss Army Man. I know one of them directed another solo movie on their own for the most part. I was not a fan of Swiss Army Man. I know that movie has a huge audience, or not a huge audience, but it's got all the A24 lovers, and it still has a pretty well loved. It's a well loved film by a certain crowd, but I was not one of them. And so I kind of went into this one with a grain of salt, with everyone kind of high praising it. And I saw it like probably the second week it was released. And it was a fun watch. Saw it with a very crowded theater. There's still some moments that need to be trimmed down in this movie. Easily could have been a 2-hour movie. But it's still one of my favorites of the year, though. But yeah, what are your thoughts, though, on it?
Yeah, I thought, like, overall the film, I guess one of my gripes with the film is I felt like pacing was an issue at times in this movie. I felt like specifically, okay, this is what kind of went through my mind when I was watching it. Like, the film like gives you almost no time to breathe. It felt like just constantly they're bombarding you with like this scene, that scene, this is going on, that's going on, this is the character's emotions here, that. And I just felt like bombarded, not in the sense that like other movies where they're kind of giving you like a panic attack or anxiety inducing, like something like the Safdie brothers. Like, that was kind of crossed my mind. I was like, how does Safdie brothers, I still feel like time to have like respite in between all the insanity like a film like Good Time has. But this film, it almost took like so long for me to like just be able to like, dude, can I just like take a breath for a second? I felt like I just kept breathing in, and it was finally able to exhale at one point in the movie. I think it was effective at giving you that kind of sensation that Michelle Yeoh's character is kind of going through, almost the info dump that's becoming her reality, essentially, or her multiple realities, of course. But yeah, I felt like, I don't know if that was like a conscious decision, but I definitely, as a viewer, like that was something that went through my mind throughout, like, I think it's like the first 90 minutes of the movie. I felt like I couldn't even just chill for a second once things start going. And yeah, I thought if that was a conscious decision, it was very well done, but it didn't seem like it had the tact of something like, you know, the Safdie brothers that you know, can cause this, you know, ratcheting up of tension. But yeah, I liked the kind of different approach that the Daniels had to this kind of anxiety-inducing, tightening, squeezing multiple realities had on the viewers.
Right. And it's surprising also with going back to editing, just like how well like they constructed a scene with like the, you know, the use of mirrors, thinking that like something's gonna sneak up behind you. And at times, like if this movie feels like a horror film, but definitely, you know, at the end of the day, it's drama with a lot of action and comedy elements in there. But you know, it's a little mix of everything genre wise, which I really liked as well too. But just back like with the editing though, like just it's interesting like how like well it's done, yet they couldn't cut any of the storylines, like I guess you could say. The joke with the hot dog fingers is funny, and I understand that it played a conscious and important part with the character Jamie Lee Curtis, but like those are like some of the jokes. It's like, all right, it's overstating its welcome. Rakakuni, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That was such a great joke, but just went into it just like one too many times with that one too. But luckily it was cute. But you know, it's just weird that there's a lot of moments like there. I was like, oh, you could have just trimmed that just a little bit right there. The rock jokes, rocks, I felt like was the only moment, like you were saying, where I finally had a moment to breathe. And that's where I liked when the daughter takes her mom there. Like, this is like where I feel like I can relax and just everything feels like at peace. And that's where, as a viewer, I finally felt like, I can breathe right here too. So and it, like that's a nice moment and sweet moment within the movie too.
Yeah, and that was honestly one of my favorite. I think that there's a lot of scenes, like you're saying, that like these little like landmark scenes in this film that were just enjoyable, freaking fun. A lot of them laugh out loud. Some of the jokes, I agree with you, did overstay their welcome at times, but I do feel like they were all there for a reason. But I definitely agree that there probably somewhere in here there needed to be 20 minutes cut. For me, I have to say, I think honestly, like the butt plug action sequence, I think I could trim 20 minutes out. I didn't feel like I felt like that scene just went on so long. It didn't get funnier, and the action wasn't more, I don't know. For me, I felt like the action wasn't more impressive the longer the scene went on. I felt like that the scenes like that overstayed their welcome at times.
Yes, I agree. Some
of the action choreography, I just felt like was almost, it's impressive for a lot of the movies that are out currently. But if I'm looking back at some of the films that this film is taking, you know, drawing inspiration from, I do feel like some of the action choreography did feel uninspired at times, you know?
100%. I actually remember when I was watching the movie in theaters, that was one of the things, like, I love these action sequences because they're comical and funny. But I remember like feeling like, oh, another action scene, just because is so many of them, and like, you know, I understand having them, but just a lot of them could have been trimmed down. But I think though, just with the directors, and then also welcome back, Mr. Kwan, you know, Short Round, or like from one of my favorite movies as a kid. Great return for him 20 years later within this movie. But I know that he was working as a stunt coordinator in Hollywood for quite some time when he retired from acting, and this is a great comeback for him, but I'm not sure if he was involved with the stunt work with this, so maybe that like played a part with them not wanting to cut down stuff, or maybe just the Daniels just loved the sequences that they filmed so much. But you know, every once in a while you just need that one person to play devil's advocate and just be like, yo guys, we got to trim this down.
Especially nowadays where it almost feels like every single movie at, you know, the cinema is 212, 220, like it's always pushing 2 hours. It's never even close to 90 minutes. And I do feel like this film, it worked with its runtime, but I agree with you. I do feel like, you know, somewhere we could find some scissors and, you know, 3 minutes here, 2 minutes there. Eventually, somehow you're at a tight 2 hours.
Yeah.
And this film probably would have definitely, I feel like it would have felt better. But overall, like, I think I love the story of this movie. It was very, maybe in the day, like you mentioned so many things that, oh, this multiverse, they did it, but like I've heard people like, oh, this person did multiverse better. This is like, why is it a competition? I think at the end of the day, I just really enjoyed the story that this film brought. It was, for me, it wasn't like, oh, this is the best multiverse thing, or this is the second best multiverse like what is this competition? This is not a competition. There's no one out there being like, oh, this is the best multiverse movie ever made. That's just not a thing. Just stop.
Yeah. While I agree, I guess, like, yeah, this is the best multiverse movie of the three we've gotten within a 8-month span or whatever. Damn, no, it's only been like 6 months. Spider-Man No Way Home, December. This came out in like March, I believe. And then Multiverse coming out in May. Like, damn, that's only like a 6-month period. Yeah.
But what about Rick and Morty? And are you also talking about the 3rd and 4th episodes of WandaVision specifically?
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Lord.
I don't know which episode. I don't know which episodes. Maybe it's the whole series. But
fun fact, I was so confused in Multiverse of Madness when Wanda was the villain in that movie. I was like, what happened? And everyone's like, you had to see WandaVision. Like, that's not how you make a movie. You don't make a movie so that I understand it's Marvel. It's a cinematic universe. You should go in watching everything, but that's not how you make movies. You make movies to where someone can still go in and understand what's going on. Like, it's one thing having to see Doctor Strange Part 1 to understand Doctor Strange 2, but having to see something else that's going to take up 8 hours, nah. Go see a 2-hour movie like this instead. Well, 2.5 hours. But yeah, I mean, I guess holding up against other things, like, yeah, I can actually kind of see almost like the Rick and Morty influence with this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that played a big part with some of the, like, some of this at times remind me of one of my favorite episodes of Rick and Morty, the interdimensional TV stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone said nothing but great things about this movie. I'd love to watch a review or read some reviews of people who absolutely hated this movie, but I find that hard to believe unless you're just going to complain about the runtime at least. But if you are one of those people who hated the movie, come here and let us know in the comments. I'm very interested. But yeah, a great way to help support the show is by renting it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below, as well as just coming back here to leave a comment telling us what you thought about the movie.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, catch all our updates through Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok in our description box below for all our social media links. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.